I am Gabby Charles, Civic Engagement Manager with Carlos. Hello, Carlos. Can you hear me okay? Okay, good, good. I also wanted to let you guys know that our personnel is still available for you guys. Different platforms, you can call us, 414-672-8090. You can send an email at soc@socmilwaukee.org. And of course, our website, www.stockmilwaukee.org. Please don't forget to fill out our questionnaire. We want this forum to be helpful for you guys. And we want you to give us your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions through our questionnaire. And the link is always in our comments area for that questionnaire. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Carlos. 1 second to give you guys a little bit of information about our workers here with SOC. All of SOC's personnel are working virtually from home. And because of that, we don't have our masks on. But I would like to ask you guys to not forget to use your masks when you go out of your houses. Anytime you're outside in the public, just to protect your own health and everybody else's health as well. So now, let us know who's here. Who is here watching the show? Say hi, put a little something in the comments area. You can ask your questions, you can say hey, and just put it in the comment section. Next thing is we want to give you a legal disclaimer. The opinions and views shared today, not necessarily are those of SOC. Now I'm going to share it back to our director, Tammy Rivera. Good afternoon. Hey, town. How is everybody doing? And you can see we're doing things a little different. Like we said, this next week, we're going to start with a new model for the forum. And as you can see, you've seen Gabby with us before, different productions, moderator, and then, of course, doing updates for civic engagement. But today, for the first time, we have Carlos with us. He's part of our civic team, as you saw on Monday when you were with us. And so I'm going to turn the program back to Gabby and Carlos. Oh, no, sorry. I'm actually with you guys today. So we're going to introduce our team. Our personnel, we're the executive team. So then Cabby is going to be asking me some questions, and I'm going to help the rest of our team with everything that helps in the office that you guys don't get to see that. So that's our personnel and infrastructure team. So I'm going to ask in a minute that they be prepared to come on with Edith and Lluvia. So we'll say goodbye to Gabby and Carlos just for a minute. All right. So don't forget, Monday, we got to know the civic part of the team. Yesterday, we met the organizing program, especially the young folks. And then today we're going to talk about everything that is with directing. Tomorrow, we're going to have Marlene with us again. We're going to get to know her a little better. And then Friday, we're going to meet the leader coordinator. Today, Marisol is doing production. She'll be with us on Friday. So don't forget, kids. We have 3 episodes left till we're at 100. And we just want to celebrate that you're with us. So we're going to put up the link where you guys can register, and the first 100 people will receive a mask with a little logo about, oh, there they are. Marisol made them. You can see SOC's logo and a little picture for our celebration. So register as soon as you can. Hi, Elsa. I can see you're with us. Hello, Trini. I've received your messages from Alas. The day of the celebration, you guys have another very important meeting and you can't be with us. But maybe we can record something from you guys earlier. Hi, Valeria. Hello, Diana. So now I'm going to invite Edith. Hello, Edith. Hello, how are you? Let's tell folks how you got to SAC. Talk to us about your journey, how you've gotten here. Well, like you said, my name is Edith. I've been with SAC since I was in college. There was a class that I had, and I had to work as an intern with a grassroots organization. So I connected with SOC, with Tammy, and that's how my work started. That year, Edith really helped us. That was the year where we did the legacy awards to the community. And that took the event to a whole new level. She did other things, of course, but that was one of her bigger projects. After that, we had the need to start with a program for the young folks. So she was in charge of the young folks because I knew that she did that at home. And she was our first youth coordinator for SOC. And then up until recently, she was helping in that capacity. Every time that we'd get a grant, she'd come back and help. And then the young people loved her. And they did so much important work, so much service in the community. Talk to us a little bit about what you've studied, what you've done with work. Well, I graduated from UW Milwaukee. I think it's been 3 years now. And my career is for writing, creative writing. And then like grant writing or technical writing. So working with grants and things like that. So since college, I've been writing, I've been working with the community. And that's what got me to know SOC. Before that, I did work for a little while. I think it was just a semester for Voces de la Frontera, the organization. And that's kind of how it started with different organizations in the community. Awesome. Edith, when did you realize that you had a passion for justice, for social justice. Do you remember that moment when it, turned on inside of you? I think I've always, since I was a little girl, my grandparents were Mexican immigrants. We came from Mexico to the United States. And thank God we've all been able to go through the process. And now my parents are citizens. But it's always been difficult from the beginning for my family. And I think that's why, since I was a little girl, I saw all of the situations. And since then, the first action that you took for social justice, where was that? At Voces de la Frontera, or when you were studying, or when was that? It was before Voces de la Frontera. The first occasion that I remember was in high school. There was a lot going on with undocumented folks. And I remember being very present in all the protests. I think there was like a day without Latinos. And in that time was when I was in high school. Okay. Edith, let's explain. I know we don't have a lot of time. Let's explain a little bit about the work that you do with SOC, with grants and compliance. If you can just share a little bit about that part of your work. Yeah, what I do, I'm in charge of writing grants with Tammy. And the whole point of that is so that we have more funds to be able to, talk, have programs like the forum. We also try to find different organizations that can give us funds to be able to, employ the people that we do have. We have programs. We had to find funds to be able to do things like this. And then we also have to make sure that we're complying with all the requirements for all of the different grants that we have. So then we have to make sure that we're doing everything correctly, so that we can keep receiving funds. I'm so proud because she wanted to learn, and I needed to learn too. I needed the help. So when I got to SOC in 2015, we had just had one organization that gave us funds, and that was the government. And if you guys know anything about organizing, the government is the last institution that you should have as an option. Because after that, we don't have the liberty to be able to defend people or be able to have whatever voice that we want to have. And sometimes we're fighting against the government or things that they're doing. So I'm super happy that we have Edith, because we've been able to multiply the numbers of organizations that associate with us because of all those funds. We have more than 12 now, I think, right? For one or two grants, and now we have almost a dozen. Edith, what is the part of your job that you like the most? Well, for me, it's writing. Whether it's grants or reports, I've always liked to write since I was little. English class was my favorite. And that's why I decided to keep up with writing. So I like writing reports. I like writing grants, different, and each grant is different and has different requirements. So I think that's my favorite part. Well, thank you. Thank you for being with us all of these years and for all of the work that you've done. Thank you. Bye. Now you got to meet Edith a little bit. She has lots of meetings today, so she can't be with us for too long. But if you guys have a question for Edith, share it, and we will be sure that she answers. So now I'm going to invite Lluvia Hernandez. Hello, Lluvia. Hi, how are you? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm great. I've known Lluvia for a very long time. She's a friend of a very intimate friend, and also the daughter of the our director's table. So there's decades of legacy there. So Lluvia, share with us. Oh, let me explain. When Edith took a different job, we were needing more coordinating for the young people to be able to replace Edith. So Lluvia, because she's had her kids, her young folks, and I've observed her in that role and how well she does it as a mother, I asked if she could help. And so then she helped us, and then we kind of changed things a little bit to the job that she has now. Over to human resources. So explain a little bit about you, about the things that you've done in the past. The thing that I've done, I've been an assistant, a medical assistant at offices. I've worked at a psych hospital, coordinating there for, also did a staffing agency for a while. I've had different jobs. I've worked at the mall. I've had a few different jobs. Yeah, like lots of people, you take different jobs and you have your different experiences. And now you're with us. Do you remember a moment in that you decided that you had a passion for social justice or that you really cared about it? My whole life. I mean, you know, my mom, she was always there with me. I think when I was a leader of Girl Scouts, it was different, but I was also helping my daughters and her friends, teaching them how to be strong young women. And I think that was a moment that I liked everything. I was very shy and quiet, much more than my mom. And it was hard to be, you know, in that community. And that's the moment that I decided. Another thing that we have in common, I've worked for 6 or 7 years for Girl Scouts when it was the Girl Scouts of Milwaukee, and she was in charge of one of the troops too. Lluvia, can you explain a little bit about what you do today? What I do at work, I do checking timesheets for all of the employees. I make sure that that we pay them correctly, or anything else that you might need. I'm there for whatever you need. Mostly off different office things. And then anything that has to do with personnel. The insurance, yep, and the benefits for all of our personnel. she says anything that I need and anything the office needs. That's always so much. But also when we have to do reports for different organizations that give us funds, Lluvia helps with that. All the documents that we might need. So it's because of her that our employees get their benefits and their checks, their insurance, and that we can give them the reports that they need too to the different organizations. What's the part of the job that you like the most, Lluvia? My coworkers. I do miss my coworkers being at home, but I know that we're still able to help the community. That's one of the things that I really like. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the work that you do. We really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Bye. I gotta give thanks to Edith and to Lluvia. And now I'm gonna bring back Gabby because now I guess I gotta answer a few questions that you guys have for me. I have some prepared questions, but we also want some questions from the public. I'm sure that you guys know a lot about Tammy, but there's always more to learn. It's honestly an honor to be able to interview our powerful leader. So, Tammy, tell us a little bit about you, about your previous jobs. The other community jobs started when I was young. Very similar to what the young people are doing with us. When I was 14, I went to work with an organization in the community to help other young people. And we helped to construct a program where young people would talk about family abuse of alcohol and drugs and to be able to educate other young people in the community. So that's how I started my career in the community. That was a few years ago. And then after that, a different organization that was United Community Center. In those times, they did a lot of outreach to kids or young people that were at high risk. So my brother and I had a difficult, strong life, and they reached out to us. And then we started working for them in different organizations. Because I did some good work. And then they gave me my first program as an adult, even though I wasn't really an adult. But I got married young. And so when you get married young, you're legally an adult. So they gave me a program for an intervention to gang members. That was my first adult job. And then they added an intervention for young pregnant moms and their spouses. After that, I went and, well, it took for a while. I was working for St. Mary's Hospital, just a few months. And then that's where I got my first faith organizing job. It was around 1980 something with the Hunger Task Force. And there I was working with single moms. And it was in the food pantries. And I was there for years. I, developed my career there. I was the first director for emergency services. The line that you guys know as 211, we had half of that line at the Hunger Task Force. And then that's where it started. I did a few different things. I did work for United Community Center, like I said earlier. After that, I went to work. I stayed home for a while for a tragedy that happened at my family. And then I made a consulting business. I had the opportunity to investigate how they were using federal funds in South Division High School. And I was able to get the parents involved. After that, I went to work at United Cerebral Palsy with their families, with different disabled people. And that's where I got to know Monica Lopez from Alas. And for the first time in the state of Wisconsin, we opened up a center for young people with disabilities and for those that didn't, so that they were all at the same level. So we made a center, a technology center. And that was around 1990 something, around the beginning of 2000. And then from there, the young people could come with their families and take programs. And it was their time. That had never been done before. There weren't any programs like that, especially for Latino families. That's where Monica started the group that we now know as Aleph. So if you can imagine a young person who can't move from the neck down, but they can play because they got the little stick that's they're using their mouth to move it, and because of that they can use the computer and they can play with other kids. I could talk about that because it was so great. And the best thing was that my kids, especially my older son, fell in love with that ministry, and up until today he still has a passion for it. After that, I went back to Sarah Jobs, where I had those intervention programs, to try and start a school, especially for young pregnant Latinas. But Girl Scouts told me I was there for 7 years. And at those days, Girl Scouts had hit lots of different historic levels. The time that I was there was a time that they had the most colored girls and women ever in the organization. More than that, other than developing programs and camps and in the whole nation, we had over 150 troops. That was one of my responsibilities too. And we had so much success, even though other people were closing. So we were so successful that the camps were giving us money for the organization. So those were some of the moments that we had. They were great. So then the recession came in 2014, I think. I decided to go back to school to start my doctorate. And I started my full-time business of consulting up until a little bit before I came to SEC. Because one of the services that I offered in those days of the recession, they knocked down all of the people under the executive. So the CEO or the president would stay, but then the second level vice president, etc., they were eliminated. Their positions were eliminated. But what happened? They still need people to do that work. They didn't want those salaries though, because those are big salaries. That was hard for people for the budget. It was heavy on the budget, but they still needed the services. And I knew that they were going to need the consultation. So that's what I did. And one of the services that I did was if somebody needed a director or an associate director, I would go just for a little while, and I would help them find a permanent spot. So Christine, she's always such a great friend. I will go and I'll help you for a little while, and I'll work as a associate director. So then they started looking for a director. I said, no, I don't want a permanent job like that. I'll go and I'll help until you find your next director. Well, what happened? We all realized that SOC was politically and financially in a hard spot. So I came to an agreement that we had to keep going forward and rescue SOC. And now here we are, stronger than ever. Thank God. Thank you guys. Thank you to all of our personnel from SOC. So what am I going to do in the future? God only knows. Of course, only God knows. Wow, I think you answered every question that I already had for you. But I think in all the work that you've done, you've always had a connection with the South Side. Can you talk a little bit more about your connection to the South Side? And when did you start specifically with social justice? Folks, just like lots of you guys, my grandparents from both sides came around 1950 to the U.S. and when they were looking for laborers for the factories. So my grandparents were working in the factories just like so many of our grandparents. Well, the grandfather of my father, he was in construction. Anything that had to do with cement. So they were here for a while. My grandmother lost most of her hand all the way up to here at a factory, at a leather factory. She couldn't work anymore in her life after that. But anyways, the moment came that maybe you guys also went through, that you realize the values, American values weren't the same values that they had. So they decided to go back to Puerto Rico. But by that time, my parents were married. So we were born here and raised here around 3rd and Washington. So my whole life has been on the South Side. After I left the house when I was younger, I had an apartment. I got married and bought the house where I'm at now. I've been here for more than 30 years, close to Mitchell Park. Here, I've raised my kids and now they're back as an adult and I love it. I'm so happy. Oh, that's awesome. And so what about social justice? Well, I think I've explained in other moments that I think that part of the way that God made me and part of my reason for being here in this world is that calling. Since little, I remember my first memory. I was always a warrior. Any of my staff can tell you that. Anybody that knows me can tell you that. I've always been a warrior. The first memory that I have, I'm the only girl. I have an older brother and an older sister. So, the girls gotta be home. You can't go out. So she took me to my mom took me to the welfare office one day. My mom worked for Guadalupe Head Start Center and she would go to the university at night. So she took me with her to the office and the social worker, I remember that my mom changed her character. My mom was very sweet, very pretty, physically inside and outside, very caring. But then she got there and like her character changed. And I was like, that's weird. Like she was scared or something happened. So then the social worker was being just really rude to her, the way that she was talking to her. And I kind of jumped in and said, you don't talk to my mom like that. I think maybe I was like 9 years old. You're not going to talk to my mom like that. Blah, blah, blah. And my mom told me to be quiet. And then she never took me back with her again. But now, afterwards, I can see, no, that was the first moment that I. Give me 1 second. Audio cut out for a second. Sorry. It's still buffering. Give me 1 second. Okay. And that's the first time that I saw she had this job because my mom needed this service. And it was the first time that I can remember that passion just lit up. Wow. Super interesting. I wish I could have seen that. I mean, I can remember it, but yeah. I remember she keeps yelling at people like that. I do yell a lot. I know. No, it's fine, and it's for justice. Talk to us about what it's like to be an executive director, just a little bit. Well, I can see that Marisol put a question in. Let's see. She says, "I have a question." Well, get ready because you have questions. I got answers. She says, "Who is your favorite employee?" We all love you, Tammy. You're a great leader. When you're not mad at me, you feel like that. Don't believe them. We were just arguing before the show. Don't believe that. But that's part of the love, right? Of course. Sorry, 1 second. We're buffering again. I know that I have a really big heart for Clarissa, but when people ask me who's your favorite, I always say Jeanette. If Jeanette's there, hi. Thank you for the question, Marisol. And then she put them little emoji faces. Okay, so executive director job. Let me tell you something. I think a lot of the people think they want to have all of the organizational power, and you think it's like a super romantic position, but it's not. It, it it's a super important job, but romantic. Yeah, we're fighting, but it's not romantic like that. Most of my job is not stuff that I like. Paperwork, legal stuff, technical things, compliance with the government, meetings. So if you're thinking about a director, it is a huge responsibility. It kind of consumes your days, your weekends, your life. It's not like a position where you just take your vacations. There's always something happening, especially when there's social justice. So other responsibilities. Well, first, the directive table. Then second, well, first the mission and the vision of the organization. Talking about the community and the directive table. Everything that has to do with raising funds, the physical system, making sure that we're complying with everything about finance and legals. We're also talking about supervising all of the other supervisors, making sure that everybody's doing their job, a little bit of everybody else's job too. Edith and grants, Lluvia and human resources, all of the programs that we have, all of the stuff that has to do with communication to the public, just being the face of the agency, all of those functions. It is true that I do have a lot of power in the organization, but it's the responsibility of that is important. I always try to share that responsibility and honor with the community because we're always responding to their needs and seeing what you guys need. So that's the job. Additionally, I'm also the lead organizer, but we can talk about that on Friday too. Awesome. Thank you much, Tammy, for the stories, for the laughs, for the information. And we'll be talking to you some more on Friday. Well, we'll see you before that, but tomorrow also. Thank you, Gabby. I'll give it back to you. So now let's see if there are other people that have said hi. Let's see who has put stuff in the comments. Trine, Sile, hello, hello. Elsa Diaz Bautista says hello. Good afternoon. Trini says hello. Good afternoon. Valeria also says hello. Diana Becerra. Maria Martinez. And we also want to remind you guys that you can register for our celebration for 100 episodes. So that you can see all of our information. We're going to be celebrating our 100th episode. There are also free masks. I know that they're giving those away from the health department as well. Thank you so much for saying hi, for all your little hearts and your faces. We love seeing everybody. Keep commenting. Keep asking your questions. We are here to answer you. So now we've got a little bit of from Marlene, I think. Let's see. Marlene, because I had some questions for her because she needed them in Spanish, but a little bit about coronavirus and the different tests that are available. Let's see, there is no sound. Let's see if we can tell Gabby that there is no sound. Ok, pues vamos a arreglar. Oh, sorry. I started speaking in Spanish. Okay. Well, since we couldn't hear the video, we're going to work on that. And then we'll bring it back up later on. But for the meantime, I'm going to share my civic update. Give me 1 second. So the Postal Service director said they were going to be suspending the pauses in the services. I'm sure you guys have heard about those closings and those cuts about the Postal Service. They said they were going to wait until after the elections. And that's because that started a lot of investigations and petitions and lawsuits from the public. So it means that they're not going to close the processing centers for the mail. They're not going to take out any of the collection boxes, the blue ones. And they're also not going to change the schedules until after the elections. So for now, up until the elections, we're good. But the fight is going to keep going afterwards because they've taken away so many funds from a vital service. It's not fair. So after that, there will probably be lots of you're going to see lots of delays, especially with the absentee ballots. We also talked to Claire Woodoff. She said that the city will be processing between 150 and 250,000 absentee ballots in November. So the sooner you can get it in, the better. Your little absentee ballots, you really got to get them in because we need to turn them in and get them sent back as soon as possible because there are going to be lots of delays, especially later on in the year. Not sure if the video is ready now. Let's see. I think so. Let's see if we can hear it now. Hello, everybody. Today we have Dr. Amelia Arana with us. She's the pediatric director at 16th Street Community Health Center. So, doctor, if you could introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your role at the clinic. Thank you for the invitation. I am the pediatric director at the 16th Street Community Health Center, and I'm super happy to be here to talk a little bit about the different tests that exist for coronavirus. It's a topic that can be a little complicated sometimes, and I hope that our discussion can help you understand a little bit better. Very good. Yeah, talk to us a little bit about the different tests that there are. Of course. So 3 different tests. There's molecular testing, and then there's the antigen tests, and then there's the antibody test. Today, we're going to talk more about the molecular tests because both are very similar in the way that we take the sample. It's just a Q-tip in the nose and another in the throat, and then you get the sample that's sent to the laboratory. The secretions are what's sent, and then they can process it. The molecular one is also called the PCR test, and it's a test that they're still studying because they're looking at the proteins that are inside of it. It takes 2 or 3 days, sometimes 4, till we get the results, depending on how busy the lab is. But this test is very precise with their results. You can trust in them. If it's negative or positive, you know that it's a very reliable test. There's a very small margin of error. So that way you'll know if you do have coronavirus. And then you can also come out positive if you're still recuperating and, had the infection even a few days ago. 2 to 3 days to get those results, depending on the lab. The antigen body is also a Q-tip in the nose and the throat, and these are quick tests, and the results are less than an hour, but it's not perfect. If it comes out negative, they're not so trustworthy. It's not for sure, if it comes out negative that you're really negative. And then we have to do the PCR test. So if it comes out positive, we know that we can trust it. We know that the person really has the infection. Not all clinics have rapid tests. Usually they just use them at urgent cares or emergency rooms. Right now, we don't have those quick tests. We use the PCR test. That's a little more reliable. So those are the different tests that you can do with a little Q-tip in the nose and the throat, or in the throat. The other test that's also available, but we really don't use it too much because it doesn't really help to decide in the treatment. And that's the antibody test. So that's a test that you do with blood. Also takes 1 to 2 days to get the results. And that test looks for the antibodies. The antibodies are proteins that are produced in the blood if you've had the infection. So this test will tell us if there are antibodies or not. Either EGMs or EEGs. The EGM is produced faster the first few days, and the other is sometimes a week or two after the infection. And then this test, the antibody test with the blood, the only thing that it tells us if it is positive is that at some time this person had the infection. It doesn't really help us know if it's now in this moment or if it was months or weeks ago. So it doesn't really help us in the moment if the patient needs quarantine or if they can go out. Don't confuse sometimes. Think that if you have the antibody and you've already had the infection, that they can't get it or that they're protected. That's not necessarily true. There are a few weeks after that you're recuperating from COVID-19, people start to have less and less antibodies. And we still don't know exactly how long you're protected for. And then when you can start with a second infection. Wow, thanks for that great information. What resources does the clinic have for people about coronavirus? Right now, we're offering the molecular test to anybody in the community. If you're our patient or if you go to a different community doctor, we want to offer these services to everybody. We also offer the molecular test, the PCR test. So that's the little Q-tip in the nose, 2 seconds, and the other one's in the throat, 2 seconds. And then the sample goes to the laboratory, and it depends on how busy the laboratory is when you'll get your result back. If you need a test, call the clinic, 414-672-1383. It's very important that you register first and make an appointment. And that way you can stop in and get the test. The ones that we do outside in the drive-through, or you can walk up or, in your car. So is there any cost for the test? No. COVID-19 testing does not have any cost for the patients. If you don't have insurance, or if you have insurance that's private, or if you have insurance that's Medicare or Medicaid, no circumstance you will have any cost to you. There's no cost. Excellent. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have anything else that you have that you'd like to add. No, just remind everybody, the first thing is prevention. Don't forget to use your masks, and the mask needs to cover your mouth and your nose. It's not just enough to cover up the mouth or the nose. And also that social distance. We have to physically keep that 6 feet. Wash your hands, and just the prevention is going to help us so much to stop the progress of this virus. Very good. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you for the invitation. Very good information that the doctor shared with us. Thank you for being with us. I see Marianne is saying that she did ask for her absentee ballot. It's here, and I already turned it back in. Thank you very much, Marianne. You're all up to date. Thank you so much for doing your part. Another question. I don't have to request it again for November? No, if you already ordered it, you don't have to order again. I think that you should be fine. You don't have to ask for it again. If you saw the option of receiving, you should have had the option. But you can always go to myvote.wisconsin.gov. If you have any questions, you can always go there and check. And we'll be able to share that in the comments too. So we only have a few minutes left. I want to invite Maria that's going to update us about the census. Hello. I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for being with us. We only have a few minutes, but if you could give us an idea how everything's going with the census. We're getting the community more and more involved. We're out knocking on doors. I have a coworker that's been out. I've seen him in my neighborhood, and we're at different community spots throughout the city too, just telling people, if you don't want us to go to your house, just come. If you want it in Spanish, I'm usually Monday through Thursday between 1 and 3 in the afternoon in the Christian Center on the National and 14th and National. Back in the back, there's a food pantry, and that's where I am. We also have people all over the city, different points. And if you, otherwise, they'll come to your house. They're very active, working that way too. We're also planning an event. We're just waiting for it to be approved, to work with some different organizations on the south side, like grocery stores, and that's for the end of the month. And that way we can help people in the community and get more people counted. You're knocking on doors and you're all at the different stores too, right? Yep. Yep, we're at the different food pantries right now. You mentioned El Rey and other supermarkets. Yeah. A lot of my people are at different organizations. Right now, we're on 14th and National in that back area. Both of us are there Monday through Thursday in the afternoon. And then there's going to be another event coming up. I got to get information. We have people in English and in Spanish. And I think we'll be there during some evening hours. And we also need help too. Why is it so important that we get counted? Well, it's important because this is going to help us with kids' schools. We're going to help us. There's lots of people that are using food pantries and things like that. So now we'll know how many people need that help. Also to repair our streets. It's damaging our vehicles too. That way we know how many people need medical care, how many representatives we can have at Congress too. That's also super important. Also in help for the schools and scholarships. It's all super important, that we have a concrete number to be able to know exactly what kind of fund and how much funds each community needs. Excellent. You guys have heard there's a lot of reasons. why you should be counted in the census. Yes, we will see you next week. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Oh, I was going to start in English again. I'm always so used to it. Thank you, Maria, for the update. Now I'm going to bring back our communications manager to talk a little bit more about the survey. Has this been useful for you? What part of the forum can we change or improve? Let us know by answering our questionnaire. And the link is in the comment area. Thank you so much. Hello again, Carlos. So we hope that you guys liked our forum today. Remember, we're going to talk to all of SOC's personnel. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to Marlene. She's our coordinator for coronavirus. And then we're also going to talk about our organizers, Clarissa, Travis, Maria, and Tammy again. Also Marisol, our communications manager. Let me see if I forgot anybody. I don't think so. Andrea also. She is our very fearless leader. I think that's it though. We're waiting. We hope that you guys love all of these conversations with our personnel. Also, a reminder, our celebration, episode 100, will be the 25th. You can register for our Zoom party to be able to participate through Zoom. Here is all of the information where you can register for the party. We also want to make sure that you guys know that SOC is here with you, that we're in solidarity with the families on the South Side and also with the families all over the world that we're also sending our thoughts with those that have been affected by COVID-19, especially those that have people, friends, family that have been sick. It's been a tragedy. Now I'm going to leave you with a video thanking our sponsors and all of the folks that have contributed. Hello, everybody from SOC. How are you? I am Gabby, Civic Engagement Manager, and I'm here to thank all of you guys for being here with us at another community forum. And thank you for completing our survey. That always shows up. The link is always in the comments. Also, we need to give thanks to our sponsors. Wisconsin Voices Community Development Block Grants, Neo Philanthropy State Infrastructure Fund, Movement Voter Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Zilber Foundation, City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, Tides Foundation, Employ Milwaukee, and all of the generous individuals that have given us personal donations. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon.